In modern times, it's the divide of, let's first call what it is. It's abortion. And I call it the divide of fate. If abortion is, let's not talk about that right now. Like, abortion can maybe be right, even though you value life as a miracle and as valuable and as something that holds a value that's so much worth everything and anything. I mean, my wife is my everything, and my family and my parents. I hold them in tremendous honor, and they're so important to me. But abortion might still be right, even though I like if I have kids, which I do believe I have kids, but not here on Earth, which sounds weird, because I am looking crazy right now, but I need to view it from a perspective that is mine, and that I can actually interact with the idea of abortion, because right now I don't have a kid of mine in this room. So, what is fate? Time. Well, fate and time. Time, flow of further development of strains that collectively add to a construct of divide and circles mean quiz fate. What is quiz? Well, or, it's, nor, os. I explained os in the last video. If you want to understand this topic in full detail, please watch it. It basically means quiz is circles means counteracting but intersecting with fate. That's something like what quiz means in this context. It's another concept. Let's talk about that later if anyone's interested. Anyway, so I'm ElEpHanD. Elephant. Or an elephant. It's a Stampfuß. Ein Zerrinas. Or a stamp on the ground. Stamp ground on the ground. Stamp the ground on. That's an elephant. Elephant. Anyway, what is fate? The circling virtuous shadows of existence. So, here it gets a little bit difficult. I need to stop the theater and the perspective on all of this. Time is actually really weird. Like, time is not real in the sense that it's stable or linear or even circular or eternal or anything of that. Time is really a metaphysical construct to a degree, while it's like kind of guiding things in existence. And fate is that which is what is behind existence and kind of responsible for what existence can become, or when it can end, or when it can be sparked, and so forth. Like, fate is not made by someone, it's a consequence of the forthcoming shadows, the metaphysical concepts behind moral worth of your intrinsic values you hold as a spirit. Like, it's the shadows of existence, the thing that lays behind, that is the unseen, even encompasses and encircles the unseen, but yet is not intersecting, but counteracting with time. So, what is time and fate then? Well, time is experience over perception. That's pretty simple. If you experience something and you then have perception on it, you have basically a time frame. That's why it's so weird to tell the time when you're working or when you're sleeping. You have a different set of experience over your perception. And when you're walking around and make a nice walk or a bad walk, you have a different experience and a different perception on things, or maybe the same perception as in the sense of walking, but a different experience while doing that. So that changes your vision of time. Now, time as a physical construct is the same thing. For example, if you have the experience of a lot of gravity over the perception of yourself, you do have suddenly a slowed down time, a time that works differently. And if you have low gravity and your perception of being in there, time just stands still almost. Like, it's moving so quick and so fast and so absurd that it almost stands still. And then if you have tangled out gravity, it really is just normal time as it seems, but maybe that's not the truth. Maybe time is totally different. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that it's relative in the sense of the physical. It's proven. So what is fate? Well, fate is time over will, as dark. So time is what guides your existence, basically. You move through it, you exist in it, unless you're in the spiritual, there it's a little bit timeless, there only the experience over perception works, the reality factors don't really matter. And fate is that which is the time that you perceive, so while you be, how you be, and the lifespan you live over your will, what you bring forth as consequence of your actions, right? If you have a destiny, that is because you need to fulfill the consequence of your action. It is connected with fate in the classical mythology, which I don't believe. And fate is then, if you view it as such, the existence you already have lived over what you willed into this existence as dark, meaning as something that is not visible. Because if you once watch your fate, if you could do it, like let's assume you do it, I could do it, once you would have watched your fate, you could not know suddenly certain things anymore, and you would die. Why would you die? Well, difficult to explain. So, fate, as what I just explained as dark, means that the consequence of your action suddenly become aware to you in a previous time frame, if you could watch it. And then you would kind of resolve your existence in negative and therefore die. Oh, my lighter doesn't work anymore. Weird. Did I watch Fate? I don't think so. Hope not. Or die. Don't think you can do it though. That's a psychosis. Yeah, that's a psychosis. Anyway, fate and time are intertwined to call for an end, meaning colliding aspects, resurrection. That's basically the idea of Armageddon. So, basically, what this means, this resurrection thingy, fate and time are in such idea intertwined that whatever you do, the pathways you live and so forth will collide with each other. Your ideas of yourself, the consequences of your actions, the wills you put into your life and wishes and so forth will collide in something that will ultimately end something. That's why fate is always towards an end. Doesn't mean it is an end that is eternal or kills you eternally. That's why there's resurrection. That's resurrection, if you don't watch it. So what is life? Well, miracle, no? I do think so. So, never mind. The essence of life is beauty and its force of being. Isn't that true to anyone who watches this? I mean, I think so. Like, if I watch art, or if I just be, it's definitely the beauty in its force. Like, I force my will on my own life, not on other people, and I just be, and I think that's beautiful. It's beauty, inherent beauty of life. So, is life meaning kids alive before being unreal or having a body as anything like it? Like, here it gets weird. Some people say abortion is wrong if the body is already forming, and I am not a Christian, I am not a conservative to a degree, but I do agree on that. Like, once there is a life forming, even in the spiritual, if it would be real, you do have the problem that you can't abort it anymore. It would be wrong. But what are kids? Are kids alive before they have a body? and before they have a mind, and before they are unreal even to be sparked. And that's the point. I tend to disagree on that. The answer is no in my mind. It's the idea before the spark of life itself. No? Like, the idea that is before the spark of the child envisioning sparkling itself into being, that's where the kid is not real and can be aborted. Actually, that would work, in my mind. It's not a real person yet. It is possibly evil. Of matter. So what is abortion then? Well, there's one. That's for the elephant. Is it okay? Well, discussable, as said, but in my mind, generally no. Like, if a woman would be enforced into sex, I have to make this argument. If she's not a lesbian, and I know people will hate me for it, but in my mind, if she's not a lesbian, as much tremendous, horrible the experience would be, I think it would still be wrong because it's not the fault of the child, and the child deserves to have a life. It deserves to know the beauty of life, to decide for itself if it wants to end it or not. It's a horrible idea. It's horrible that it could happen or does happen, any of it. But that doesn't make a difference for the child. Like, it does make a huge difference for the woman, and it's not her fault. Like, if a woman gets forced into some sexual act, it's not her fault then. But it's not the fault of the child either. Like, the child can't do much about the fact that that guy wasn't something. So why? Well, it's life. Life is sacred if it is not forced. But even if it is forced, it's sacred. That doesn't mean you can force people into it to prove that it is wrong to say it's sacred. That is wrong. You can't just force someone into a sexual act to prove that it's wrong what that person thinks or believes. I don't particularly stand on that topic to a degree. Like, I think spiritual things exist, like spirit and so forth. So, in my mind, for atheists, it's way worse to abort a child. If an atheist aborts a child, that person believes that that being is forever gone. Me, as someone who believes in spirit, but not in a particular religion, I believe if someone gets aborted in the material, it's just a sin of murder. Not of eternal murder. That's a big difference. And that child might not even have the experience if it's just like the first few cells, that it is actually consciously experiencing what an abortion is. So that's why I say it's discussable. It really depends on the premise and the proven aspects of reality. If there is a spiritual part to existence and it's before the body, so it's not the case that the body makes the spirit, but the spirit produces the body to a degree or in its whole sense, or in a sense, or in its entirety. That might be discussable if abortion in certain cases is okay. But just because someone wanted to have a sexual act and then decides to abort the child, I think most people agree there that that would be wrong, even if free choice of body and so forth is important. I get that. I'm a man. I don't get the woman's aspect here, but I think that is even a wrong argument. Like, women tend to not be like that. Men neither. But women ultimately have the choice over their body, yes, true. Still being the question, do women even think like that most of the time if they're not particularly either uneducated, damaged, not thinking like they would, or harassed, or any influential manipulative technique. So is there actually womanhood, meaning woman in womanhood, which is a horrible word, that think that way, that abortion would be okay just because of a sexual act, that resulted in a child. Do men sometimes think like that? Yes, they're sometimes egoistic. Well, they don't want to pay for the child, they don't want to care for it, so maybe for the men it's easy to decide that. For the woman, not so much, I believe. The child, nonetheless. So maybe not for the men either, but here we come to perception and social constructs. In the social construct of woman, it really seems to be only her choice, and the man is totally out of the equation. In reality of the spiritual, that might not be the case. But for most men, if that's the case, like, I would never, but for some men it might be the case that they think, okay, I don't want to care for the child, I just wanted to have something and I don't really care. Like, this is part of male behavior. If you look at Islam, at Christianity, at Judaism, at Greek mythology, at any religion which is resulted and consequence of the ideas that the society puts forward, then you see that there is always a certain male dominance in this aspect. Meaning, the males tend to view this in mythology, or, well, religion, which is mythology, as something that they can assert dominance over and even not care. Like, if you look at how people envision Zeus or other polytheistic deities, or even the Christian God, which crucifies just his own son and not himself, right? Maybe there's a God who crucifies himself and then tells his family, well, this is what comes with the cross, you should do it. But maybe, all the religions are wrong about all of these gods and these attributes of them. But more important, they portray something in the psychology of humanity, or better said, of beings, and how they view the male dominance which has ultimate power. And religion is most likely made by men, because men were dominating in the sense of history, if I'm not mistaken here. Meaning, in the sense of that we view the religion, meaning the mindset of a system, of a construct, and so forth. Men do seem to just be viewed as not caring that much about such a thing as abortion to do it. So that's bad, because that actually produces some social ideas. Religion brings forth ideas if it's in the society for a long time. Then it manipulates, in a certain aspect, what society will think on certain topics. So, meaning that is the point. Like, religion then has an influence that is maybe not good. Maybe good, maybe not good. I think in this case with male dominance, not really good. Anyway, but at a certain point in time when the constellations are just, well, then abortion, yes, definitely, good idea. Depends if you want to have ElEpHanD or not. So back to male dominance. Well, religion is, I think, wrong about the gods. Maybe not all of them, but some. Male dominance is, in that sense, really weird, but it gives the opportunity of people to believe in such constructs and abstractions to assert their own values on other people, especially women. My opinions don't have anything to do with that in my mind. I don't want to tell a woman what is wrong or what is not. I'm telling my opinion on this topic. I do think it is wrong to abort a child. But some certain constellations with the point in time when it's just buts and are just when they are well. Well, not when they are well, when they're just well. When the point at certain is just well. then yes. Thank you for listening.